Countless books have been written about the Grail. About to produce another one, author Janice Bennett's research is taking her to the mountainous region of the Spanish Pyrenees. She's following the clues that Hesseman believes are hidden within the original German Grail legend. She's heading for Mont Salvatoris, and there's another tantalizing link to this place in the Pyrenees. It's also the location of a monastery where the Valencia chalice is said to have been kept in medieval times. But according to the legend of Parsifal, Janice should be looking for a place called Montsalvache. Michael Hesseman believes that in the Middle Ages this mountain was known as Mont Salvage, a remarkably similar sounding name to the Grail castle in the Parsifal legend. The writer wants to find out whether local people still recognize the ancient name.
Hola. Estoy buscando Mont Salvage.
Mont Salvage.
Mont Salvage en una montaña.
Por Salvage no.
Gracias.
De nada, hasta luego.
Adiós.
She said that she's never heard of Mont Salvage, but there's a mountain very close to here called San Salvador. ¿Han oído de Mont Salvage?
Mont Salvage.
Mont Salvage. No? ¿Han oído de Mont Salvage? No, gracias.
No one seems to recognize the ancient name of Mont Salvage until a visit to the town museum leads to a breakthrough.
Señor, estoy buscando Mont Salvage de la Edad Media, ¿lo conoce?
Mont Salvage.
Mont Salvage.
Ah, puede que sí, se le llamaba así a San Salvador.
Ah.
Antes, antiguamente, en el siglo XII, en época de Alfonso I,
Sí.
en occitano se le llamaba a San Salvador Mont Salvage.
Ah, muchas gracias. When I mentioned the German word Mont Salvage, he understood it immediately as Mont Salvage from the local dialect of the 12th century.
The author heads out in search of what Hesseman believes was the Grail's home. A local medieval monastery, San Juan de la Peña, with notes from Michael Hesseman's reading of the Parsifal manuscript.
The Grail Castle was located in a wild, rocky, mountainous, forested area. This really seems to be the right location for that.
Hesseman claims the Parsifal legend also mentions there being many hermitages or small chapels surrounding the Grail Castle.
Oh. This was one of the clues that Michael gave me, that the Grail Castle is surrounded by them.
Hesseman's notes on Parsifal describe the place where the Grail was kept as in front of a rock face.
Wow, it's amazing. What a magnificent sight.
If it is the castle described in the Parsifal legend, this medieval monastery could have hid the Holy Grail. There's a lot of ifs, but in any case, it's all good material for another book on the mythical Holy Grail. Can the caretaker provide the writer with any more tantalizing details?
Eso puede ser la iglesia prerrománica, la iglesia mozárabe. Está en la parte de abajo.
Ah, muy interesante. Muy interesante. ¿Podemos verla?
Sí, claro. Vamos.
Another of the supposed clues in the Parsifal story is that processions brought the Grail up some steps from its hiding place. Sure enough, there's a set of stairs.
This is incredible. This chapel has exactly what Parsifal said it did.
The Parsifal legend also mentions water used to baptize his brother. Once again, a feature in the old building seems to suggest a link for those who want or need to believe.
You can see on the wall here where the water flowed from a spring in the rock above, and it went down below. It's really amazing. It's just incredible. I never knew that all this was here. A perfect hiding place for the Grail. Absolutely amazing, incredible.
For a writer hunting for a good tale, the monastery has compelling similarities to clues gleaned from the Parsifal legend. The legend says he climbed a stairwell and witnessed a procession carrying the Grail through a door. The caretaker shows the author a bricked-up portal leading to a chapel below. For her, it completes a vivid, potentially best-selling picture.
Claro. So the old stairway was right here. This is where the monks would carry the Grail to be worshipped by the faithful. The altars are there. The Grail would have been placed in that area.
It could add up to evidence that the Valencia chalice was once kept here, or it could all be a big coincidence.
This is the place where the faithful would have come to venerate the Grail, right here.
For a writer tackling a subject covered by countless others before her, the clues all add up to a compelling new angle on a classic story.
From all the evidence I've seen, the archaeological evidence, the story of St. Lawrence, the story of how it was preserved in monasteries, how people risked their lives to save this cup, and the mention in Parsifal, everything. I believe this is the cup that Jesus used at the Last Supper to consecrate his blood.
But there is no archaeological proof that even Jesus himself ever existed, let alone the cup he's said to have used at the Last Supper. But for believers and writers, the legend of the Holy Grail still provides a rich seam of romance to plunder. A terrifying monster, half man, half bull. According to ancient myth, the Minotaur was imprisoned inside a labyrinth where hapless human victims were sacrificed.
This was a place of absolute bloodthirsty horror.
But could the blood-curdling story be linked to a real place?
It looks as if there's been a recent ritual.
This is the tale of a horrifying myth and a real-life, mysterious maze. According to classical myth, Poseidon, the god of the oceans, became angry with ancient Crete's disrespectful ruler, King Minos. He caused his wife to lust after a savage bull as a punishment. The grotesque offspring of their unnatural union was the Minotaur, or the Bull of Minos.
King Minos' wife, Pasiphae, this rather beautiful woman, had an insatiable sexual appetite to the extent where she fell in love with a bull. The product that came out of this had to be hidden away from public view. And so that's why he had Daedalus construct this whole labyrinth.
According to the legend, the labyrinth was so ingeniously crafted that once in, no man could find his way out. The story also says that human sacrifices, including innocent children, were sent inside, only to be devoured by the Minotaur. The beast was ultimately slayed by the hero Theseus, who found his way out of the labyrinth with the help of a guiding thread.
What the ancient Greeks remembered about the labyrinth was really a horrible place. It was a place of absolute bloodthirsty horror.
Some classical myths are based on a kernel of truth, while gods and monsters are a matter of faith. Could the tale of Theseus and the Minotaur be traced back to an actual labyrinth that existed in antiquity? Fascinated by the legend of the Minotaur, Oxford University geography expert Nick Howarth is on a quest to investigate a physical link to the labyrinth of the classical Greek myth. His quest starts in a library holding a large and valuable collection of early maps. Among thousands of ancient documents is a map which he believes may hold a clue to the legendary labyrinth of King Minos.
What we have here is a 16th century map of Crete. This map clearly shows a labyrinth motif exists here in the south of the island. This symbol jumped off the page. It was something that I really wanted to investigate further, and from that point on I made it I guess my purpose to work out whether or not this thing was just a piece of ornamentation, or was there really something else behind this very definitive symbol.
The strange symbol on the 16th century map is unusual. It appears to point to a spot on the outskirts of the modern village of Gortin. Whatever the symbol represents, Nick believes he will find it there. His quest will take him back to a region he knows well, the island of Crete.
Some people have told me that to search for myths in the landscape is wrong, that these myths are just stories, that they're not real. The myths are probably the most powerful stories we have.
Ancient myths can represent intriguing riddles. Like the legendary thread said to have saved Theseus, these classical stories can contain a trail of clues that lead to exciting discoveries. Nick begins his search at the most famous ancient Minoan site on Crete. Knossos, the legendary palace of King Minos himself. When Knossos was excavated under the explorer Sir Arthur Evans in 1900, he uncovered a series of depictions of bulls. They include a fascinating image of a man leaping over the horns of a charging beast. It's similar to figures found on other ancient sites. The deadly sport of bull leaping is still practiced in countries like Spain. It's believed that this was once a magical or religious ritual linked to a worship of bulls. At Knossos, Evans also found a Bronze Age stadium where such rituals are believed to have been performed. The bull seems to have held a special significance to the ancient Minoans. But what about the labyrinth? The word comes from the Greek labyris, meaning double-edged axe. When Sir Arthur Evans originally excavated Knossos, he found numerous ceremonial double-headed axes. Symbols apparently depicting such axes were also found etched on the walls.